Hi everybody, it's Chris here from the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. Just to let you know, Hi everybody, it's Chris here from the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast. I'm sorry if there was a lot of things happening at the start of that. It wasn't working on my screen. Hope all yous are well though. I am back. Mark Walker's here. Decker is here as well. How are yous boys? He's all okay.
Hi, I'm glad we finished work. I'm not going to lie there. But yes, I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Mark looking very radiant on screen at the moment as well.
Yeah, I've been for a little spray tan before I came along, just to add to the illusion why I wasn't here.
That's an image that I never want to imagine you getting a spray
in
tan.
a little pair of paper pants. They still wear paper pants in a spray tan.
I've never had a spray tan.
Neither have I.
Decker, of all the people, you would have a spray tan.
No. I've been on the sunbeds many times. But,
all right, okay.
I reckon it would be.
You honestly have never had a spray tan.
I swear on my mum's life, I have never had a spray tan. What if I did?
No, that's what we mean. Like, honestly, I bet people in the comments now, how many of you reckon Decker really has had a spray tan?
Honestly,
or would you think he'd had a spray tan?
I've had loads of sunbed minutes. I'm not going to give you that. Like,
I think this might be a poll for two polls. Has Decker ever had a spray tan?
No, honestly, not. What was I going to say? I do think it would be your choice, though, because obviously some people wouldn't want to,
get your cock tan.
But then other people might go like, "Oh, just crack on." You know what I mean? Same for ladies as well, of course.
You've got to have some white bits, though, don't you, to show your tan off?
True.
Oh well, but we're all here to talk about Dan Ashworth a little bit.
I think he has a spray tan.
He's had a spray tan.
Well, he's down on that south coast. They've got the weather. They probably don't need a spray tan.
So yeah, we'll just dive straight in. We will talk about other things that are happening currently at Newcastle United. But as always, like we have done over the last few weeks, if you have any questions, fire them our way, and we'll go through as many as possible tonight. As always, we'll be going for around about an hour. So, yeah, boys, long time coming. Dan Ashworth news announced. No official statement as such from the club, apart from saying that we're appointing Dan Ashworth as technical director. I think the terms were that they used, waiting for approval from the Premier League. So 2024.
Yeah, that fills us with a little bit of dread, doesn't it? After our history with the Premier League and getting things approved. But
it's an appointment that we've known that's going to be happening, Digger. It's one which we're all excited about. Another piece of the jigsaw coming together since the new one has arrived on Tyneside. Just going back to the interview which he done for BT Sports before Brighton game. Yeah. He's interviewed for Jake Humphreys, Joe Cole, and Jermaine Janus. Comes across really, really well, mate.
Amazing. And I think at that point, he had only been at the club, for 6 months, maybe 8 months at that time. It wasn't long. I actually, when we were very first linked with him, when the rumours were there, I watched the one where he was on YouTube. I apologise, I forgot the full name, but it was something like Campus Football Business University or something
University
like
of the University of Campus Football Business or Business Football.
Yes.
I watched it about an hour ago, mate.
Oh, did you really?
I did.
Right. Well,
you can't remember the name?
No.
But it is something like that, though, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of... It was really interesting, obviously, I always like to understand where people came from, and I find it amazing that little things like obviously started at West Brom as the academy manager there, and then got called to a meeting, and he thought that it's just a general meeting, and all of a sudden actually we want you to be sporting director of West Brom, and he was like, whoa, like I didn't think I'd ever do this, and then from to even have, so you could say not the belief, but like he wanted it in writing that if it didn't work out, he could go back to that job.
He wanted some assurances that if it went tits up, basically, he was guaranteed his previous role back.
And then you think of moving from there to then being approached by England and the unbelievable success that he had at England at the youth level. Obviously winning 2017 was an amazing year for England in that regard.
So people that don't know, what he created at England was the England DNA, and he wanted is right down under 15s, I think it was, maybe a little bit lower, that he wanted every single section of that football association playing the same sort of football. Said that all the other countries are progressing and their senior players have been playing for the country since they've been young'uns. And that's what he brought in. And obviously, we've got the success with the team of Phil Ford and Rashford that won the European Championship on that one. And obviously, we saw semi-finals in Russia, then obviously the most recent one as well. And what he achieved there is unbelievable, Mark.
He's done it at a fairly young age as well, because you think of, that type of positions that he held, you would think it would be somebody that's been in the game for a long, long time, and maybe a little bit of an elder statesman in the game. But I guess having that bit of youth on his side, if you can call it that, comes with fresh ideas, doesn't it? And allowing him to probably just experiment a little bit. And that whole thing around the DNA, it's when you look at some of the big successful, not only countries but clubs, like in European football and stuff like that. Ajax is a one that springs straight away to mind for me, from that very, very young age, having them in the club, having them playing the same way. And that's why they've got that almost factory-like
like transition, isn't it? Just a smooth transition.
Talent.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant. I mean, as you said, it's been something we've been expecting for a long time. It's taken a while, obviously, with him going on his gardening leave. It must be looking fantastic, his garden now, because he's been in there for months and months. But it's finally been done. We just need the official stamp of the Premier League, and he can get going.
It's a saga which has been going on for God knows how long now. Obviously resigned mid-season at Brighton, and it was only rumours a handful of days ago wasn't going to be late as in November that he could arrive at Newcastle.
Yeah,
looks like his feet are going to be firmly under the desk as the transfer window opens, Decker, and it just works in our favour once again, doesn't it?
It does, and I did want to mention this point is obviously when it was kind of the announcement was there and everyone was getting excited, every comment I was seeing was like, our summer starts now, it's all about the summer. And I'm looking much further than that. Like I think it's arguably, of course, your head coach or your manager is so important, of course it is, but this is such an important position, and it's in a position that we've struggled with and probably haven't had certainly a man of this experience or caliber ever, you could say. But it's not just this summer window, is it? It's January, it's the summer after that, it's the entire culture of the club and everything about it. It's much more than just let's see what this summer brings. And I kind of got a little bit annoyed at some of the comments, actually, that it was almost people were just looking at the next 5 weeks. And I'm like, I don't get us wrong, that's important, but it's much bigger than that, right? Yeah. Like it's forever. You know what I mean?
It's the future that really excites me. Of what he can do with the ambition that this club have got now with the owners, what the owners want to achieve, that kind of they can marry that together and really develop this club. And look at, we've sat around this table a number of times in the past and talked about our reserve sides, our youth sides and stuff like that, and how we've really, really struggled to bring any sort of talent through. We've seen over many, many years all of the talent in the Northeast going to other clubs, leaving the area and going to wider afield. You would hope that this is a defining moment where we can look at that and start thinking, right, we can actually start developing our players now, and hopefully, a few years down the line, we'll get the likes of a Foden coming through and that kind of thing. Whereas when we have had those young players where we've kind of bigged them up and wanted to get them into the team, it's then fizzled out a little bit, and they've gone out on loans. It hasn't worked out and stuff like that. It gives us a bit of hope, even more so, just around what this area can produce and get into that team.
And going back to the England DNA as well, it's so important that you're not just, everyone always looks at the 11 players on the pitch on a Saturday or Sunday, and that's all that matters is the Premier League. But to have that culture and DNA through all of it, through not just even the women's football as well, literally you're talking all the way, and that for me is what makes you a big club in that sense, in terms of really attacking on all angles. Whereas there's loads of times where I used to see we'll win on a weekend, say this is under the old regime and that, right? And then I'd go on Twitter and it might be a Wednesday night we're playing the reserves and we got beat 6-0 off Man City or something. Yeah. And I thought, but no one really cares about that. And that is the wrong attitude to have. And what I think is what Mark's saying is bang on, is that you would hope that the under 18s or the under 21s become competitive. And then that means because they're playing the same way, in the same kind of shape, formation, style of play and stuff like that, then them can develop towards the first team.
They're technically your feeder club.
Well, exactly. That's what you're trying. It's what you're trying to. We've never done that. We've just bought a player, plugged him in to fill a gap, and it would be lovely to see this transition coming through. It's very hard as well. Don't get us wrong. It's not easy. It's not easy to do that. But at the same token, you look at what happened to Brighton when there's a few players that them have brought through the youth system, and fair enough, they've sold them, but they've sold them for absolutely millions. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that we're a selling club by any stretch, but it would be nice for us to bring players through. We haven't had that many, other than Longstaffs and stuff like that. But I just think that. And again, back to my original point is that, of course, it's amazing to have him in for now and all the rest of it, but it's the future, the longevity of what he can bring, I think, is really exciting. It's
the experience. And how long have we been a football club and fans of this club where people are just put in a position without that experience? Lee Charney being a perfect example, where he was doing every job and had every title under the sun. And one of the things which we mentioned on that interview, which you watched as well, with that University of Football, the questions put his way of there's so many different titles that you can have. You can have sporting director, you can have technical director, whatever, everything with direct on the end of it. And the interviewer says, what's the difference? Why so many clubs got different titles? And he said, well, it's the fundamentals of the football club and what the football club do other than just a senior team. So obviously you've got your youth setup, you've got your academy, you've got your ladies football, you've got recruitment and stuff like that. And he said, it goes in a little bit more deal and says, what is your role in the day-to-day running of a football club and the likes of the recruitment? Is it the case where you would interview with the manager and say, hang on a second, just a handful of months ago, we brought this player in to suit what we are wanting to do in the future, and you haven't been playing him? He's basically saying, well, I wouldn't get involved with that.
Yeah.
There might be a discussion about it if the manager comes to me and says, oh, Dan, I can't play 4-3-3 this weekend. What do you think I should do? And it seems like he's pretty hands-on, but hands off at the same time when it comes to that first team football.
I thought that as well. The balance was really interesting to hear. That obviously, as you say, like, it was a case of I would never ever encroach, and I think that's so important, isn't it? But that kind of role, like, you could quite easily be the person that is kind of over the manager saying, no, you need this player. This is the player I've been looking at, and this is who you need. But he's quite willing to have conversations even about formation. If that's what it was, Potter at the time he was referring to, would come to him and say, I don't know if I should play 3 at the back. What do you reckon? And he'd bring a voice to the table if needed. It's about finding that balance where you're not encroaching, isn't it? That can be hard, that, I think. But he's had experience at having the right balance, which I think is important.
And I think this will be the difference more between having that English setup as a director compared to your overseas one, where basically, if you're not playing the team that those sort of directors are playing, you're out the door. You see it how many times at the likes of Real Madrid, places like that. If the president of the football club, just you're out the door, really, aren't you?
It's they have kind of that power, don't they, to make the decisions. Whereas the way you're looking at Dan's role is it's going to be more advisory and that, like, as you say, just a little bit of advice, a sounding board for some ideas. And I think
he referred himself to as a critical friend. I'm a critical friend of the manager, which I thought was a nice term.
And that's it. It's to give that what if scenario, give it a different point of view. And well, if you make this decision, what does it mean for X, Y, and Z? And I mean, Eddie Howe is a very experienced coach after the time that he's had in the game now, but he doesn't know everything. I think that's why he surrounds himself with a lot of good other coaches with different ideas and stuff like that to get that opinion and having another one there with the experience that he's got and what he can bring to the table. And it's very interesting when you think back to that first appearance of Eddie Howe as he wasn't officially head coach, but it was the first person he met coming down the stairs was him.
Well, apparently in another podcast I was watching earlier this afternoon, they had a relationship during the England setup as well, where it must be when Eddie Howe was just doing the rounds, going watching everything and how everything worked. Obviously, Dan Ashworth was there at the same time, so there's already a relationship that was so coming down the steps.
Yeah, they definitely knew each other. You could see it in just that brief interlude of the meeting on the stairs and shaking hands and having a little bit of a chat.
Mentioned one of the questions as well in this previous podcast. They mentioned the likes of how the recruitment side works, and he seems like the players he brings in, it's all on stats. Basically, it's all on stats and figures and character, similar to what Steve Nixon wants as well, bringing players in the team. Excuse me.
That's something Eddie Howe always talks about, is character.
Exactly, character.
So
and he says it works on basically like a traffic light system as well. So obviously, if it's green, it means everyone's in agreement. He's in agreement. Recruitment team's in agreement, and first team coaches in agreement that they want to bring this player in. If it could be the orange sort of thing where wages just don't match the value of the player, etc., then obviously they'll have a discussion. Say, can we bring somebody else in, or shall we try and negotiate the sort of fee? It just looks like a professional setup, which we're getting, which is sounds ridiculous to say it, but it's something which we're not used to seeing.
Something else that stood out to me, that might have been, it could have been, I don't know if I've read this or whatever, but obviously Tony Bloom, who was the Brighton owner, kind of like went to him and said, I want to play this style of football. I want to try and establish yourself as a top 10 team. Basically, the reins are yours. And it was his decision to bring in Potter. And you remember, and this is just, that's why I'm not getting paid anything for money for football, but I thought, God, getting rid of Houghton for him is a bit weird. Like, Houghton will always keep you in the Prem, and Houghton's he's a decent bloke. And then Potter come in and just totally transformed Brighton. And, you think of, for him to have that from an owner's point of view, to say to him, I entrust you to take us to the next stage. Your decision is yours. You bring in who you think's right. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like, and to just reference what you said there about the traffic light system, blah, 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 it seems very similar to how Man City work in regards to, right, we do want that player, but if financially it isn't what we believe, then we just won't go for him. Yeah. We'll move on to someone else. Which, again, for all...
Maybe Man City's not the best example.
Well, that's what they did with Van Dijk, for example. They wanted him, but not too much. We're not going to go for him and we'll move on. But I don't know. I think when you say about professional, organised, it's something which we should expect anyway. Even if you're not the one of the richest clubs, you should expect that as a given. But
can you remember the whole purple player setup that we had, which got leaked, and there was a list of players? What was all that about again? Was purple player that?
Was it not blue chip?
Blue chip player was always Bobby Robson's.
No, this wasn't a land bias. It was like purple players and stuff like that. So somebody will come out and remember what all that was.
Remember that one.
They had a list, and there was two different. I'm sure it was 2 or 3 different categories, and the purple player was really dodgy one. I can't remember what it was, but it was.
Probably chose a dodgy one.
I'm sure it was land bias. I'm sure it was in the land bias, and Dennis Wise would have been them lot. But like I said, we're talking about bringing experience, professional into the club. Last one, I think it would have been Dennis Wise, was it not? Oh, Kinnear actually might have got it after that.
Yeah, because Wise left, and then Kinnear came in, and then obviously ended up as manager, didn't he?
I mean, right. So purple player were our first 11, so the starting players. And there was another category under that, and there was one category which was just completely disrespectful to the players that were already on the books.
I've got no recollection of that whatsoever. Mind, there's a lot of that era that I try to forget about. So,
don't blame. But again, no, you think of like this is what I used to always. Sorry to go back here, but under Ashley, you think that obviously he's a clever businessman, blah 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 blah. But just bring in people that know about football, right? That's surely that helps. Like, how can that not be?
He did try based on the names that we've just said there, but it was.
But again, given Dennis Wise,
it was cronies, wasn't it? That's the.
It just makes me. I can't understand. I can't.
If you going back to that traffic light system, we never even got to the traffic lights, did we? We were broken down on the bloody driveway under him. We never got off with drive. Yeah, me.
Right, to move on, because we can talk about this situation for God knows how long, but we'll move on. We'll try and get through as many topics as possible. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, Mark, but the name won't disappear. Henderson. So, goalkeeper. Is this happening? Because we had reports from the Manchester side of the press, which was saying it was basically a done deal, which obviously was coming on the Tyneside, and from the press from our side, it's definitely not happening. Mark, what's your thoughts?
It's just weird one, isn't it? It's like, do you think the Manchester side's maybe just trying to tout for the move to get him out? Is it his representatives trying to get the word out there that he's maybe doesn't want to sit on the bench at Man United anymore? He wants to go out and get a move. I'm still not convinced that he's the answer. Like, if we are going to go and get a new keeper, he's had one good season really. I think he's played less than half a dozen games this season because he hasn't been able to get a sniff. Surely there's if we are really going after a keeper, surely there's better out there that we could go for.
My slight counter argument to that is obviously Dubravka, knowing what we knew about him when we signed him. So, for example, you're saying one good season here, half a dozen games there. I mean, Dubravka wasn't even first choice for the.
He was third.
He was third choice, and and he came in and did very well, and is doing very well. to answer Chris's question, I don't know. I'm getting to the stage now where there's no smoke without fire. I'm getting towards that angle. Whereas before I was like, listen, how many links do we see? You know, and it was quite mad a few weeks ago how it was done, right? It was like literally the Manchester press was saying it was done, and that was strange. And then all of a sudden there was loads of cold water, and now it's come back up again. So I'm more erring to the side of there's no smoke without fire.
I think I can see the argument from both sides more, but what I think is that, is he a proven Premier League goalkeeper? No, he's not. We have saw glimpses, and he has performed well in the games that we have seen him.
It was that season when he went on loan to Sheffield United. Yeah. He was fantastic.
Do you not think it's a case where, obviously, Dubravka's our number one goalkeeper and be going into the season now as our number one goalkeeper, I would imagine. It's not the fact we're bringing Henderson in to challenge for that spot. Then obviously if he gets that spot, if it's through injury, performance, whatever it may be, he holds on that spot.
That's
he's going to have a better chance.
That's maybe where you look at it, but would you be happier sitting on the bench at Man United, given that, I mean, I know they're not great at the minute, but from a club and a history point of view, you know, as much as I hate to see it, they're a bigger name than we are. Yes, he's probably got more chance of getting in because, as we've seen the last, 2-3 years, Dubravka's had a couple of injuries during that time, so he's missed decent proportions of the season. So he might have an eye on that, but I don't know. He's got youth on his side as well. I think he's 25. So when you consider it that, it's maybe is a one that is going to be a longer term investment, because if he does develop in the way that you think he might, based on the performances that he had in that season, then it could be a shrewd bit of business. But I don't think he'll come cheap, because he's got that English tax. He's been around the England squad. He's at Man United. So
do you think either way, Degger, that this is probably Darlo and Gillespie? Sorry, not Gillespie. He's got a gear left, Woodman. So Darlo and Woodman out the door.
I would definitely say Darlo. Yeah, for certain. Yeah. Personally speaking, the reason why I would love it is the competition between your two goalkeepers is fantastic. It really is. Like, if you had them two as your first and second choice, I mean, is there a better one in the league as a 1 and 2? I'm not so sure. Like, I'm really not. Like, it's, you know, like, obviously if Darlo went and then Dubravka did stay, obviously maybe
Chelsea. It's probably
Aspilicueta.
Like, I'm
Bruno Mendy.
I'm all about competition. Me, like, it drives you to be better, and you know, to have them two, it would be unbelievable. Honestly, it would be amazing. And you know, like, fair enough, people might be upset that Dubravka might get dropped. Some people will be buzzing that he's in. For me, I know I agree with you. It costs an awful lot of money, but we've probably got it. And the bottom line, it really is, if Eddie Howe has singled that guy out and wants him,
trust him.
Then we trust him.
Yeah. There's the shout out from Fish and Rods that says, I reckon we will loan Henderson and pay a fee in 12 months. It's a strange one to loan a goalkeeper, though, because they're not, unless they're going to be number one, they're not going to get much game time, really, unless it's in the cupboard, like I said, unless injuries prevent, obviously, your starting goalkeeper. It's a strange one to bring on in a lone goalkeeper.
You would also think, if it was a loan, which is not a bad comment either, by the way, might be like stipulations of how many games. It might be, you know, okay, yes, but he has to play X. And as you say, I mean, it's, you know, it is a difficult one.
Why would Man United let him go out on loan, though? Especially to somebody that could be challenging against you next season, because
that's probably Man United's worry, that they're probably all looking at Newcastle thing, and they could be challenging us at some point next season. We're not, obviously, Man U aren't going to be challenging for the league next year. Far from it, I would say.
It's some bloody turnaround, wouldn't it?
Exactly, and you could even argue Champions League football. You're looking at, it could possibly be trying for that European place. Obviously, there will be hoping to aim higher, but you would think the similar, so like West Ham, the Wolves, they're on that level.
Wolves was the one that sprung to mind. Would they let him go and join Wolves on loan?
Yeah,
you wouldn't think so. That's why he went out to Sheffield United, because they expected him to be shuffling around the bottom of the table, trying to keep them in the league and stuff like that. And won't behold, they went on had a fantastic season, didn't they? But
it's a strain. It really is. But I think that, like I said, we need somebody to challenge Dubravka, because Darlo's had his chances, and yes, Darlo came in and he done all right at times. He did. For me, there's always an error in Darlo, and you could probably argue the same with Dubravka, but I feel as if Darlo spills it too much in the 6-yard box. He just pans it back into play.
I think if you look at any top goalkeeper, there's an error. I mean, I think Lloris is terrible half the time, if I'm being honest with you. I think Pickford's got an error
as well.
I think, and exactly I was going to go to him to here. They've all got errors in them, but again, I would say going back to the competition thing is, if something happened to Dubravka had a bad run of form, and then we had to bring Darlo in. I wouldn't exactly say I'm thrilled with confidence that Darlo was coming in. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I would if Henderson got the opportunity.
But equally for me, if Henderson's as good as we think he is, why isn't he getting a chance at Man United? Because De Gea hasn't been great. He hasn't been great for a long, long time.
Well, I think Henderson's asking that question as well. So, to be honest, I think that's why he wants to go. And it's difficult to drop De Gea, right? I mean, it's difficult. I know he's had mistakes in that, but it's hard. It's hard when he's a great goalkeeper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He did have a bad. I'm not saying necessarily the season just gone, but there was a season before that where it almost seemed weekly, right? That he was doing all. I was like, But it's an interesting one, though. It is an interesting one.
Let's go through some of the questions. As always, if you have got any more questions, just send them our way and we'll go through as many as possible tonight. The first one is from Scott, our very own Gallowgateshots, Scott. Just on the subject of
goalkeepers. His full Sunday name, is it?
That is his full name now. Our very own Gallowgateshots, Scott. Gallowgate Scott. There we go. We'll call him that from now on.
Gallowgate Scott.
So on the subject goalkeepers, he says, do we have a first choice keeper if we bring Henderson in? Or would it be a performance-based number one? Where basically it's a winner stays on sort of thing.
I like that.
Could it be a case where you go, let's say if he comes in like Scott says, let's look towards the future. Henderson's there, Dubravka's there. Eddie Howe goes to Dubravka. Right, it's yours. It's also yours to lose.
Yeah. And you go back to, we've had that in not in recent years, but you go back, we had the whole time that Steve Harper was here, he was always there to be pushing.
Steve Harper always got the Champions League games, if I remember right.
What I was going to say was, I think if that was the case, you'd have one that is your Premier League and one's your Cup, no matter what. No matter what. So,
again, that's the situation he's in now.
No, yeah, true. But I still think in his mind, have you got more chance of getting ahead of Dubravka at the age of Dubravka is over De Gea?
I think De Gea's older, you know.
No, he might be, but I'll still come back to who he is. And plus, the new manager might not. The new manager coming in, he might not think he features in his plans. That new manager might have his own goalkeeper he wants to bring in. Obviously, of course, I don't know his thinking or how he's going to do things, but I feel as if I kind of agree with Scott. Is that I don't feel. Well, to be fair, you have to give someone number one. You've got to, right? You've got to say you are my goalkeeper. But I feel as if the second you would do a mistake, bang, it's now your chance. Do you know what I mean? And that is good competition, but it's an awful lot of pressure as well, right? That you know that I ain't going to get a second chance. Yeah, if I do a mistake, this guy's in.
Yeah,
that can also be difficult to live with as well. Like so, but yeah.
Again, it just comes back to me: is he any better than Dubravka? I don't think he is. He's probably on a par. And if you're going to be,
could he? Because you mentioned his age. Could he not develop to be a better goalkeeper? I'd probably arguably say yes.
He could. Like I say, 25. You think he's got at least, he could have his 5 to 8 years before he gets into that peak of. So it's normally around the 30-year-old mark, isn't it, for a keeper? So, but again, I mean,
Dubravka's still in there when he's 40.
Hey, it's not unheard of, is it? What's he now? 33, maybe.
He's getting on, like he's getting.
Right, next one. This one is from Stoddy55. Says, hi, chaps. Do you not think that Steady Eddie will have most of the names in his head already? Great show, lads. Keep it up. I press the like button. Thanks very much, mate. Thank you. So do you think that the names are already there on a bit of paper? Or the list is already being handed in and just waiting for the negotiations to start?
Yeah, I would have thought so. You go back to, we had a list in January. Mm-hmm. We know that some of them didn't come off for various reasons. There'll be names that were on our list in January that we didn't get anywhere near because it was the wrong time to go for them and stuff like that.
I think what we'll also have to drop in there, that there was probably names on the list in January that would have been scratched off the list going into the summer. Like Lingard,
Lingard,
there's a couple of
Carlos.
shouts for Lingard, and then Carlos, who's gone to Villa.
Yeah.
Those were probably January signings.
Ali van der Beek again.
Yeah, well, I'm sure if I remember rightly, I could be wrong here, but I'm sure when he literally took the job, Howe had a list. He had a list then.
Yeah.
Took it in
Saying,
the interview.
yeah.
Took it in the interview and said, these are the players I feel can make us better. That was in the interview, man.
Yeah.
This guy, he will be thinking years ahead, not just for the summer. He literally will be thinking of years to come, and there's no question. Now, doesn't mean that the list is set in stone. Of course, things will change and people might come available, and he might change his mind. But there's no question that in January they'll be saying this, and we'll go for him in the summer and things like that. There's just no doubt. The guy's far too organised and far too professional. It's not like Bruce turning up at the meetings going, right, I'll have pie and chips first, and then we'll see who the left back's going to be. Like, it's not going to be that way.
He lives and breathes football. So that's all he does is football. So he'll know the players that he wants to do. They'll have all of the stats because he's very, very stats orientated, which will why it'll work very, very well with Ashworth. It's going to be, if you've made the list, you're going to be top draw.
Well, just because you mentioned Ashworth there as well, Blue Rhythm Boy says, do you think he would have helped formulate the list prior to obviously 100%. Joining Newcastle?
Absolutely not, because that would be against Premier League rules.
Yeah. While he was cutting his grass. Yeah, no doubt.
He was cutting names in his grass.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think there would have been some sort of communication, obviously not through the parties involved. But
allegedly, I may say.
It's going to happen, isn't it?
No,
of course it's going to happen.
Absolutely not.
Right. This one, let's go through a couple more there. We've got loads tonight, boys, to be fair. Says, this one is Swordass says, hi lads, love the podcasts. Keep them coming. Do you think we will sign players suited to the 4-3-3 formation that we have now used? That we are now used to, or would anybody come in that could possibly change that formation? He says, for example, a centre attacking midfielder like Madison could change the dynamics of the setup.
It's actually a thought I've had in regards to, like, what I mean by this is, was the 4-3-3 just stumbled upon to a degree because of personnel and situation? And is that really what Howe wants to play? Like, I know it's worked and he's rolled the dice and it's carried on. I say rolling the dice, that sounds very amateurish, and I'm not saying for a second he is, but I agree that, because personally speaking, I thought it was three at the back, wing backs, that type of style, which we've never tried under Howe. So it is an interesting one. Would we stay with the 4-3-3? I mean, obviously, of course, to the eye test, yes. The eye test tells me stay 4-3-3 because it's been great, right? And a few little pockets of improvement in that formation is going to be great. But it is a good question because, if you signed a number 10, an actual attacking style player, it's going to change the dynamic, isn't it? Massively. So,
and we'll keep getting obviously linked with Bruno's mate, and who would come and fit into that type of role.
What's your thoughts on that one, Mark? Do you think that's just because it's Bruno's mate?
I do. Yeah. I think it's the relationship that's there. People are putting together, the fact that
it's a goodbye and
they're missing each other.
Thing. That's what it is.
Yeah. Equally, Martinez and Almiron, when Almiron came, all of the clamour was to sign him and bring him in. It's very rare that you get that happening where they'll bring along.
We've not had the link
like that,
of Trippier and
Lodi.
No, Trippier and
Pickford.
So apparently they're really good mates as well.
Yeah. I sometimes worry about that.
Mr. Best's tried it week in, week out, hasn't he, to get him here? But
that sometimes worries. I know from the outside you would think, oh, well, if it's his best mate and he's here, life's amazing. I love it. It sometimes worries me that, because if, let's just say it wasn't working for him and something happened where, he wasn't playing or wasn't pulling his weight in training, and that could affect his morale because he feels like his mate's getting picked on. I'm not saying that would ever happen. I'm just saying that, I don't know, sometimes it sounds amazing to have friends there and your best mate here, but at the other side of the coin's like, if it got salty for one of them, would that change the other one? And I don't know. But maybe I'm overthinking that.
The tweet that he put out the other night was telling me that he doesn't look like he's going anywhere.
Yeah.
He put a tweet out basically saying we're in this for the future or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't see him going anywhere. I can't.
Like I say, the fact that he's Brazilian, he'd been over for the birth
gender reveal
thing and all of that kind of thing, a bit of holiday and stuff.
Birthday.
Yeah, imagine if it was, if you think of roles reversed. I often do this about the Kabay situation when he went on strike at Lille, and we were like, it's amazing, he wants to come. He was over here in the back garden with the Newcastle top on, playing, kicking around, and like photos. I know photos are getting taken, and I don't really agree with that either. But like, if you imagine being in Leon fan, imagine the roles were reversed and Bruno was over visiting him, and he had, you'd just be going off it. Like,
well, there was kick off about it, which is why he almost he was kind of apologising in that tweet as well around it, because I think his performances had dropped off in the latter half of the season, probably because he was missing Bruno and didn't have him playing kind of alongside of him. And,
you would miss Bruno,
like,
to be fair.
You see what he's brought to our team. You take him out of that team, they're going to struggle, and that's exactly what's happened.
They've all been having a wheel of a time in Disney World as well, the Brazilian squad.
On the log flume.
I noticed that, yeah.
But I think with even going back to the original question around the formation and stuff like that, I think formations develop through the season. There's a lot of teams play 4-3-3 at the minute. You go back, a lot of teams played 3-5-2. Everybody used to play 4-4-2. So football develops based on who you're playing up against, how you want to approach the game and stuff like that. The formation that we've got at the moment suits our players. So that's why he's playing it, because we're having success with it. You can fill the positions with the players that we've got. If he wants to then attract a certain player and he needs to adapt and maybe go to a 4-5-1 or something like that, then he'll do that.
Well, that's the way we've seen this from Eddie Howe, that he does have that ability to change tactics during the game. Something which we never saw on the previous one. We did at times and it went tits up, but he does take the risks sometimes, Eddie Howe. I think we saw it against the Spurs. That got changed later on, then obviously they just went tore new Arsenal. They
played about 4 different formations in that game, didn't we?
Yeah, but the risks are there to be taken, and he tried. With more talented players being able to come off the bench, then that should change the outcome of that going forward. Next one is let's have a look. This one's from Darlo, very own Gallowgateshots. Darlo
does that
Sunday name. It says the rumored settlement fee for Ashworth is 3 million. If this has had to come from the summer transfer budget, which isn't confirmed yet, do you consider it good business?
It's the best £3 million we'll probably
ever spent.
Probably ever spent. Honestly, ever spent.
You're not going to get much of a player for £3 million, are you? Really, in this day and age? So it's absolutely money well spent.
I've seen rumours that it was 5 million. If we had they wanted £5 million or something beforehand. And
wasn't it as high as 10 when he first?
Was it 10? Was it?
I think it was as high as 10 when he first kind of resigned, and then that's why it's.
Remember the position where we were when Ashworth resigned, compared to where we finished in the league. Obviously, you've gained an extra few million just for league position, which has probably helped us out as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll come from the transfer fund, though. We know that the owners have already injected a lump sum of cash into the general day-to-day running and that kind of thing, and they'll look at it as part of the expenditure of the infrastructure of the club. So it'll come from the same sort of budget of the training ground improvements, the bringing the women's team into the professional environment and all that. It's looking after the infrastructure and the fabric of the club. That's where that'll come from, not from a transfer kitty.
Let's fire through a couple of more, obviously, because we're talking about the transfer window. There's 2 questions. The first one is from Dan Witten. He says, which position do you think we'll spend the most on? I'll give you my answer straight away. Striker. Has to be a striker. Because probably the most expensive players.
They are the most expensive, but I don't think we'll spend the most on a striker just because of Callum Wilson.
It's a difficult one. I would of course, I err on the striker side because they are expensive. Like, don't get us wrong. I think I don't know. It's really difficult because I think if we sign Henderson, I think that's going to cost a lot of money. A lot of money, I think. But not the most expensive, to be fair. I'm probably going to chicken out a bit here and go for striker because I've seen more link with the left winger. Apologise, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It's not Diaby, it's because it's the other. So that kid, Trippier's mate from Madrid.
He's left back.
But they say that he's been playing more left sided midfield as well. I've been hearing, but I suppose it's a left back really. He's going to be expensive.
Yeah,
you know what I imagine. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going to check out and say a striker as well.
Do you think, Mark? Do you think we're going to be a case where you're going to go out and spend big on one player, then bring a couple of others, or do you think it'll be very similar to what we did in January, where it's more evenly spread, wasn't it? I know obviously Bruno came, which was technically a more key sign, you can argue. But
I think we've discussed where we think we need to strengthen, and I think we all more or less said the same.
I'll be disappointed if what was said there with the keeper, if the keeper is going to be a hefty one coming in regards to price tag. I'm disappointed in that.
I can't see that happening. I don't think it will, unless we were going out and buying a number one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
That was like an international number one keeper.
Which right now I don't think it's something that we need.
I don't. Left back and right wing for me are the two main ones, and
striker.
I think we would have.
Are you thinking left back and right wing in regards to start?
Yes.
Aye. 100%. Whereas the striker we're talking about is back up.
Yeah. And that's it. And they talked about another striker to come in and a young one, which obviously the young name that keeps getting bandied around is again the same one that we had in January with Etikiti or what it's called. So it's, will you really bring in a very expensive striker when we've seen what Callum Wilson's done in those 2-3 games that he's played at the end of the season? And I know that comes at the caveat of, can he stay fit?
Yeah.
I think they're going to rely on Wood again. I think it's going to be a case of they'll run with Wilson until he can't run anymore, kind of thing. Wood then comes in. I honestly think £25 million in January, it's a lot of money, right? Whether people think we're rich or not. I don't think they're just going to just almost say, well, thanks for them 6 months and you're not going to play again. I really feel that'll be Wilson, Wood if that's something happens, and then this young potential guy.
Devil's advocate, the owners and the recruitment team might actually possibly look at this and say, right, Wilson was injured for a third of the season. Wood came in and we went on 9-game unbeaten run. They might be looking at saying we don't necessarily need the striker that's going to score a goal. We just need a striker that's going to contribute. And Wood might be that one. Because obviously the goals came from every single angle when Wood was on the field.
Did, yeah. As I've said a lot of times now, you've seen how much better we were when Wilson was in the team. I would hope that, listen, I'll go back to what I've just said. You're not going to pay £25 million for a player just for that 6 months period and go, thanks very much. You're just not. So, he is technically still going to be that second unless
I can see him being a third choice, being the plan B of essentially he'll become Andy Carroll. So I think we can.
But yeah, I get you.
I think we will bring maybe not that a young probably 2 strikers.
So you'd have 4. I think we've got 4.
Yeah. Because I think Gail will be away.
Oh, I know doubt about that. Mm-hmm.
So you've only really got Wilson,
Wood,
and Wood.
I think they'll have 1 more. I think they'll have 3. So I think if we had European football, you get 4.
Yeah.
But I think based on just attacking domestically, I think they'll get 1 more.
Unless they do similar to what they did under the when we brought Perez in, who was supposed to be one for the future. Then obviously he got the run in the team and done well.
Well, that's the other, obviously, with bringing that young striker in, is if he's under the threshold for the age and stuff like that as well, then that's going to help.
I think you buy that young striker is the ultimate replacement for Wilson. The goal is for him to replace Wilson. If you bring him in young and you're hoping that Wilson and Wood can do enough to not rely on this kid, but he can just be nurtured through, and that's a bit more of a what's the word, like what Bruno was in regards to you can nurture him in the side, you can give him time, and we did that with Bruno. Even though I don't think that was necessarily the plan for Bruno. Bruno wants to come in and play, but we happened to be on such a good run. Everything was great. It would be lovely to sign a striker that's got so much potential, can be the ultimate replacement for Wilson, but we don't need him tomorrow. We can wait. Yeah, that would be the
next one, Mark, from Adam. How about Adam? Gallowgateshots, Adam. It's Sunday name.
Is anybody else watching this?
No, there's 300 people watching.
Someone ask a question.
He says, who is Trippier whispering in the ear of at the England camp?
Pickford, I'm going for a beer.
Pickford. All right, okay. If you look at
no advances on Pickford since I've been away.
I think it's Pickford.
If you're giving me mind saying that if the keepers that are there I wouldn't mind him whispering Nick Pope's here.
Well, okay
That's
then.
a shout.
So okay then. So you'd rather have Nick Pope than Henderson?
100%.
Really?
Only
Really?
downside of that is his age.
Yeah.
He's a good 5 years older than him.
I wouldn't take Pope. Like, not for me. Not for me. Any other players?
Pickford. I can't think beyond Pickford.
I tell you, I don't know. I can't even think if he's in the squad. What's his chops from Southampton?
Mark Hughes says Trippier dreams big. He's whispering to Harry Kane.
We need a striker.
He can beat Shearer's record if he comes to us. I wouldn't mind that.
What's he called? Southampton's blooming
Ward-Prowse.
Ward-Prowse. I couldn't think of his name.
All right. Did Phillips make the squad?
I was going to say Phillips. I don't know if
Phillips,
he did.
is he not injured?
Don't know.
I don't know. But if they might have went down, I feel.
Yeah, he would
I
have.
feel it might. I don't know if I'm just making that one up, but I would have said Phillips. But
If
I
Man
like that
City
Phillips,
follow through on their interest, though, he's going there, isn't he? Every day of the week.
Yeah.
I'd love him to come into the team.
Yeah.
Right, let's go through some more.
Yeah.
Moving away from transfers, well, kind of moving away from transfers, and let's talk about sponsorship. So, Dave P says Fun 88 deal expires tomorrow. I'm not sure if that's 100% correct.
This is just hearsay.
It is hearsay. Castor let slip the pre-order for the new home shirt starts tomorrow. I have saw that twice. They've deleted the Instagram post, not once, but twice.
They knew what they were doing there. They knew what. Somebody tells me that was done for that reason.
Right.
I think they're meant to publish the Aston Villa one and the Newcastle one instead.
My concern is, and right, we don't know. Nobody knows who the sponsor is apart from the owners of this football club. They might not even know yet. Right. Apparently, if we are believing that the deleted post by Castor, that the shirts are going on pre-order tomorrow. Okay.
But the shirt didn't have a sponsor on it.
The shirt did not have a sponsor. So the question to you, Mark, is would you buy a shirt not knowing what the sponsor is going to be? Because a sponsor can either make a shirt or ruin a shirt.
Makes or breaks it, doesn't it? We've seen that with...
Are you seriously considering saying yes here?
There's 100% people out there that regardless of what sponsor is on the front of that shirt, will buy all three shirts.
Good
Because they buy all three shirts every single season.
Okay.
I very, very rarely buy a shirt. I've only bought shirts in the last couple of years because I really like the shirt.
Yeah, and it helps when it's got a huge discount on it, despite it taking
there is that
4
as
to
well.
5 weeks to arrive with you.
So your Saudi beer opener.
Yeah, I only got the blue third one because it was very, very cheap.
Yeah.
There is not a chance in hell, can I add here, that I would buy a shirt without not knowing what the sponsor is. Not a chance.
If you bought the shirt every season, you'd buy it. It doesn't matter what was on the front of it.
Nah,
you can guarantee
nah.
it could. The sponsor could say
Aldi, careful.
Vaux beers on the front of it.
What, you wouldn't want your money back?
People would still be 30, 40,000
I get you what you're saying.
Wearing that shirt.
There will be people out there that'll
100%.
buy Newcastle shirts despite what's on the
People
front of it.
will not care what that sponsor says.
Let's remember we were sponsored by Wonga at one point.
Exactly.
And that shirt was, you saw
Well,
that.
you said 30 or 40,000. Listen, if
They sell hundreds of thousands of shirts. And that's when we were shit.
Well, having said that, maybe, yeah, maybe. But listen, you asked for my opinion. The question I think was, I wouldn't even think about pre-ordering a shirt if I didn't know what was on the front of it.
Do you think we'll find out tomorrow or not? Or do you think it'll be a case where, right, this is a shirt, we don't know who the sponsor is yet?
It's bad that. Like,
It'll be a teaser. It'll be a teaser of the shirt. It'll be little snippets of it, like the angle with the badge.
Yeah.
It'll be the
So you don't think
150 years on the back, because I don't even think that the sponsorship thing's been.
So you don't think we'll see photos of players modelling it tomorrow?
No, because if that was going to have happened, we would have heard.
We
would have seen leaks and stuff like that. All of the mock-ups, all of the turkey kits on DHgate and stuff like that have been bandied around have had no sponsor on, because nobody out there knows who the sponsor is at the minute.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because we know what the shirts are. I mean, we know, right?
Yeah, we know.
So it's going to be quite a poor, dreadful, really, sort of reveal if all it is the side of the shirt or the top.
It's a bit shit.
It's shit.
It's a bit shit releasing a shirt without knowing who the sponsor is.
Yeah, it proves maybe how messy the situation is. Then, if they haven't been able to sort it by now, you're literally going to pre-order for your new shirt. And he's
Or
it was the same
could it be a
last-
case where we're waiting once again for some sort of Premier League approval to approve the sponsor on the shirt? Because obviously now it's got to go through this thing
that's a
now.
good point.
I think that's part of the issue, but again, somebody out there would have a mouth on them and would open the mouth.
Most Twitter account probably have that. Everyone seems to be on this.
Everyone's an ITK
Hey,
these
it's
days.
ridiculous at the minute.
It's up, mate. It's always been ridiculous.
I don't think it's getting worse. I'm literally seeing people fighting over like. Sorry, I'm just give us 2 minutes. Like where it's like, I got this right. I put this on Monday at 9 o'clock, and then I see one go, yeah, well, I put it on at 5:02 though, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
but last
is that
week I
what
put
it's
something
come
on
to?
which is complete polar
Completely
opposite.
opposite. Yeah. So
Lads,
basically,
even a broken clock is right twice a day.
True. That's yourself. No, I'm joking. No, it's just mental on there at the minute. Like, and I just kind of handle it like.
Yeah.
But sorry, going back to the question. Well, sorry then, Chris. What do you think? Do you think that they're going to release it tomorrow, or is a pre-order base without the sponsor known or anything like that?
I think it'll just literally be a tease, little teaser.
They can't just do a tease. It can't just be a tease. Say, I'll pre-order this. It's just he has a snippet of what the corner of the arm
But
looks
we've
like.
done it. We've done it before. We did a couple of seasons ago where you just seen.
Yeah, but
like
when you
who the
pre-order
sponsor
then, mate,
was.
it was like
Yeah,
it's
but
coming.
you didn't see what the shirt was. You just saw.
Yeah, but it wasn't available for pre-order then, though. Surely,
I
was.
don't think it would have been.
No,
like I
but
said,
they leaked it to say when it would be released.
well, that's fine.
So it wasn't
that's
pre-order. It would be available. But we never put shirts on sale this early.
That's
It's the 1st of June.
yeah.
back in the day.
Back when we used to play the last
game. Yeah.
how
last game
amazing
of
were
the
them?
season.
They were great
It was
days.
unreal.
Them were great
Unreal.
days. Them were great.
So
days.
it's normally the very end of July when we put them on sale.
So hang on a second. So let me just go back a bit. So how do we know it's pre-order? Is it
Just
is it
off
Because of
that-
that leak on Castor.
right? Okay, right, yeah. And it did say there, didn't it? Did it say
It's
pre-order?
at 10 a.m.
Pre-order.
1st of June.
Oh shit, yeah.
So that it looks legit. The fact that
It
they
did,
posted it, deleted it, 10 minutes later, posted it again, then
But
deleted it again.
but we've already
Who's in charge
seen-
of that, man?
We've
Shocking.
already seen the Wolves kits, the Rangers kits,
With the sponsor
and
on
the
them.
Aston Villa kits, all leaked, all with the sponsors on and everything like that. They still haven't done any pre-orders for them, and they're already made. They've been produced.
So do you think Castor's just dropped the ball completely? It's not even going on sale tomorrow. Do you think it could be the teaser photos tomorrow?
I'm
That's
gonna
what I'm
say it is.
thinking. That's what I'm thinking. It's
I'm gonna say
teasers.
it's that, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because
it is.
Adam, once again, Gallowgateshots Adam says, surely there's rules in place where you can't buy something that hasn't been fully advertised yet.
Exactly.
It's like
Well,
it's one of them mystery shirt
No,
boxes.
because
isn't
it's just you
Mark would buy it. though.
pre-register and you interest kind of thing. You're not.
no, you're
If it's
buying
not,
it.
No, but if it says pre-order from tomorrow,
You're buying it.
You're buying it, right? I said, well, having said that,
No, you can still
yeah.
register your interest
No,
of wanting to buy.
if you pre-order something tomorrow, that money leaves your account.
Yeah, maybe
It depends how they do it.
You're purchasing it. You're purchasing it
Mark's
tomorrow.
buying them all. Doesn't matter what's on it. Do you? He didn't care, do you?
I really like that white and green one.
We will be doing a podcast on all three kits in a little bit more details.
I'm not sold on the blue one at the minute.
So
but
Freddie,
I think it's all right.
Freddie Costanzo says, have you guys discussed...
Gallowgateshot member, Freddie
Yes,
Costanzo. Give him his
Gallowgateshots
full name.
member, yeah. He says, have you guys discussed the Saudi Arabia third kit on a different podcast? If not, what were your thoughts on it? We will be doing one when the shirts are official. I think we're all
I
in
think you
agreement.
did do one, didn't you? The
No.
night they got.
It was the day before. So we
Was
did
it
one
the-
about the
We done
black
the,
and
day,
white one
the
and
night before, then
yeah.
And
in
then
the
that
next
one
few
came out.
hours, the white and green one got
We
released.
texted you straight going, oh, well, we could have waited a day.
So if you haven't seen the end of that podcast, we do kind of
Yeah.
guess what's going to be happening a little bit.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, but we haven't done that podcast yet. We will be doing it at some point.
Spoiler alert! I've just gave you my answer.
You
Yeah, but we'll go into a little bit more detail in regards to the thoughts and reasoning behind it. A couple more questions before we wrap this one up. So if anyone does want to send some in, get them in as soon as possible.
What do you think the sponsor will be? Because we've obviously had rumours that Funny at 8 are getting renewed. Funny at 8's contract ends tonight. The last few days I've seen Saudi Arabia Airlines. There's been Saudi Golf,
Ask me
Aramco.
this question tomorrow.
I'm nailing mine on Aramco. Like
I would love a Ramco. Like,
that's what I think. It's just based on
I don't think
the colours of the shirts, the colours of the Castor logos. I think it's
I would
that
love
for
a
me,
Ramco.
like,
Like,
I think it is.
I'd love it. I really would.
We'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
I just can't. Some part of us can't see it being funny because of the gambling situation over there. Now,
well, apparently that these shirts are easily accessible without a sponsor.
Well, that
We've
was
seen it
something
with
I said to someone,
other shirts.
I did say something
in
about
America.
you'll just be about them without it,
Because it's
I'll
not
have that one then.
part of the sponsorship agreement in regards to shirt sales. It's all TV opportunities.
Right. Okay.
Plus, if you think the kids' shirts don't have them on,
Oh, yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. This one is from Blue Rhythm Boy. Mark, we'll start with you. Will Target sign for us?
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no. I would like to see him, but I don't think it'll happen.
There's too much noise around.
I'm really
think-
upset here.
I know, but I think
too much
Target
noise around
is one of the
Logie.
players that was on the January list.
Yeah.
But they'll look elsewhere in this transfer window.
Well, listen.
I think he might be a backup. If we can't get a player that's on top of that list, then
Then he
we
comes
might go
back.
back in
Yeah.
for a Target. But I think they'll have somebody else ahead of him.
I'm the same as you.
Wow. But listen, if we are, as a club and as the scouting network, if we are looking for a player that we believe is better than him, well, good luck to her then. Good luck to her. Because I mean, honestly, I think the world of Target since he's come in. But listen, I didn't mean that to sound sarcastic, by the way. I meant that is amazing. If we are progressing to try and look for a player better than him, then
Every single one of
happy
us
days,
sat
man.
here, 3 weeks ago,
I would love him.
and said we have to sign him.
Yeah.
It's the first bit of business that we do.
Yeah. I'm still in that camp, by the way.
Oh, if we bring him in, if he actually comes in as our starting left back, I'm over the moon with it.
Yeah, I'm more than
But I
happy with
think
it.
they'll have somebody else above him on the list.
And it's that name that's just won't go away at the minute, isn't it?
Pickford.
Well, it's now I would love him personally, but
Followed by Ruben Neves,
Yeah,
Mikel
Neves,
Antonio.
he'd best be happy man,
Imagine
wouldn't he? He'd be happy
The
man.
next one, this one is from Elsbeth NUFC Anderson that says, what do you lads think about the Bilbao and Atlanta for the pre-season games?
Wonderful.
And what that shows for Eddie's hopes for next season. So it's a strange one that the games are back to back. So a day, I think the Atlanta game
It's Friday
hasn't
night
had a
and the
kickoff
Saturday, isn't
time confirmed yet. One of them hasn't had a kickoff time confirmed. Back to back though, is that just? To be fair, that's going to give Eddie Howe a good look at the squad. It's going to be a different starting 11s playing both those games.
100%, yeah, 100%. But it's just another thing that it's just mad, isn't it? It's another thing that Eddie Howe was probably thinking, right? Let's have 2 back to back. I can access both 11s if you like, and no doubt probably they'll come on and play again. There'll be a bit of. I think also for the fans that as well. There'll be certain players that will play it twice. Not of course the full 90 or anything stuff like that, but 10 minutes here or there. Come off the bench and whatever. But I've got fond memories. I remember Bilbao playing Rob Ayers' debut. I remember I went to see that, and I went and bought a shirt.
Lush
Little video they put on today as well. I think it was today.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Listen, I've always, and I mean this with the greatest respect, but I've always thought if I was, could possibly be in charge of it, I'd be like, let's play Barcelona, let's play.
Spray tans you're in charge of.
Well, true. Let's play Real Madrid tomorrow.
Jason Tyndall's his number one customer.
Do you know what I mean? That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Then play Cambridge away or
No, what I would love to see, and I think we mentioned this a couple of years ago, some sort of Bobby Robson Cup.
Yeah.
Where you have those
you could
teams.
play Ipswich, Barcelona,
Yeah.
PSV. Yeah. Why not?
Powerhouses.
Lovely,
Getting
yeah.
those in.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So lovely. The money goes to charity. Life's great. Robson doesn't get a mention. You're playing against great opposition. Gets the fans excited. Because I hate when you go on a pre-season tour and you're playing I just mentioned a few, these League Two. And again, no disrespect, but why not? Why
We'll not invite Ipswich.
Why not have a real massive game? And I'm not saying these are huge games, but they feel. I read them and thought, hey, happy days. That's a little bit challenging. It seems great, and I don't know. That's what I think you should do anyway.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think it's great having we take the kids to it because it's one of the only opportunities they get to go to the ground and see it.
Even more so now, to be fair.
To be able to see two. How many times do you see in friendlies them having to play 2 teams in the same game, just giving them a half each to try and get them both a run out? So again, having them back to back over 2 days will allow them to either give them a full game or even give them 2 halves. Give them first half in the first game and then first half in the second game.
Exactly.
And do it that way. But yeah, I think good.
Really
And
good,
it's nice to have a good standard of opposition, especially so close to the start of the season as well. You want to ramp up that pre-season training into something that's actually going to challenge
And we still
you, get you
don't
ready.
know what's going to be in replacement of the the American
American
tour as well.
yeah.
We don't know what's in replacement of that. Obviously, Newcastle always play the last pre-season game at home. It's normally the case. Like we just said, there is 2 back-to-back games. God knows what's going to be before that.
We normally play Gateshead as well, which you think maybe we'll either scrap that one or send. I think last year we sent an under-23s team as well, with maybe a couple of first teamers. So
there's always one local team that you play. Yeah, there is,
and that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah, of course it does. Of course it does. Anything that you two want to add before we call this one?
No, I think it's been a good one though. I've enjoyed it. It's been nice to talk about positive things, and again, like the Dan Ashworth news is just, it's that next step on the ladder, isn't it? Of looking towards the future. And I mean, God, the owners will be thrilled that they've got someone in there that can actually, because blessing them have been doing it all at this point, you know what I mean? Or getting perhaps favours or asking for advice here and there for things. But now to know that they've got someone in place, probably even them can like go, okay, right, we can now take a foot off a bit and maybe just observe and enjoy a bit more, you know. I've been enjoying it, but it's again, it's just exciting, isn't it? And I'm sure everyone watching feels exactly the same.
100%.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one. Told you there's going to be plenty to talk about once the season ended, and there'll be plenty more coming as well. If you do want to become a member, like many people in the chat, or you can do so for $2.99 a month, and you get access to early access videos as well. Shade has the United State, which will be released tomorrow, which was recorded last week. You do get access to the Telegram group as well, and you can speak to, I think there's 130 people or thereabouts in that at the moment, Mark. I will be putting a couple of messages in there over the next couple of days in preparation for our end of season awards as well. So I want you to be a part of that and give us some suggestions for that. But yeah, thanks very much. Been a pleasure as always. Yes, Mark?
I did have one more question
before
you started wrapping
I could
it
tell
up.
by your lips are going.
You did ask if we had anything else to talk about
5 minutes ago.
Because then you went on a long rant. The club put out a YouTube video today. Moment of the season.
All right.
Was this not going to be what was end of season awards?
Well, it might be, but
shall we just end it on this? Because I'm pretty sure we could go in there.
You want to get that one in there?
Yeah, we'll keep that one in with end of season awards.
All right, then.
Special host.
We're in the arena for that.
The arena.
Yeah. Are we on?
Utility.
Everyone can come and it's going to be good.
Thanks, everybody. And we will see you very soon. Bye. I'm going to press this video and I hope it's going to be better than the introduction video.
Let's hope it's the right video this time.